What's up everyone, welcome back to BlackTideTV. Today I've got some multiplayer gameplay from Far Cry 4 for you, and we're going to be actually talking about the storyline in Far Cry 4. I didn't actually have story videos for you guys for this one because I finished the story just right before I came up with the idea for this episode, and I didn't know I was on the last mission because it didn't seem like that should have been the last mission. So I didn't have it recording, so I couldn't get the final mission for you guys, and I didn't really want to restart the game and show you guys the first mission because it's really boring. You're watching a lot of videos and stuff in that, and you have to hear a lot of what people have to say. So I just decided just to give you some multiplayer gameplay. It's a bit different. I like the multiplayer in Far Cry 4, but we'll talk about that a bit later. So the storyline in Far Cry 4 sucks. I hate the story in Far Cry 4, and I'll tell you why. The Far Cry 4 storyline is incomplete, and it's not connective. Like, it doesn't connect with the player. It doesn't realistically make sense, and it doesn't end right. So I'll start right from the beginning. I'll tell you the entire plot, and then we'll go piece by piece through this. So the plot of Far Cry 4 is you are a kid from the Americas, from America or USA, whatever, and you were actually born in this place called Rant in Asia, and you've never heard, like, you were born there, but then you were moved to USA like right away with your mother, and then basically she never talked to you about Rant or what Rant is or why she left, anything like that. So when she dies, you start the game as bringing her ashes. Her last wishes are to go to a place called Lakshmana, and you are bringing her ashes into this place called Rant. When you're stopped on a bus and you get taken to the Mad Emperor or the Mad King's palace, I guess, because he's like some crazy guy, this pagan Min guy, and he basically like rules the country, but the country's also in civil war. There's these rebels called the Golden Path, and they come and they save you from his little palace. So then you start working with the Golden Path, and you have to help them. And basically there's two different leaders in the Golden Path. There's Amida and Sabal, and you get to make your choices of who you want to lead all the way through. You get to make, oh, I want to do your mission, you have a better idea, and you get to choose them. And then you use them all the way through. You have to take out Pagan Min's three main generals, which is friggin', I can't remember their names, Deplur, Numa, and Yuna, I think. But you have to take out them, you have to take out their fortresses, and then at the end you go to Pagan Min's palace. Spoiler alert. You go to Pagan Min's palace, and you take back the palace, and then you drive up and you meet Pagan Min in his kitchen or his office or wherever, his dining room, I guess. And he's like, and he offers you a choice, and then you either shoot him or you don't shoot him, and the game ends. So I chose the shoot him option. I don't know what happens if you don't shoot him, but I can get a basic idea of what kind of happens. So let's go through from the very beginning. So you come to this country without, you're just a kid. You don't know anything. You don't have, actually let's start before the story. There's no background information on your character at all. You don't know anything about your character. You're just a guy coming to this country from America, and you're gonna scatter these ashes, and that's it. That's all the background information you have. Far Cry 3, you were like a daredevil. It was showing you like jumping out of planes and stuff, so you knew that you were gonna be a badass guy. You're jumping out of planes. You're doing you're doing downhill skiing. You're doing all this kind of stunt stuff and all kinds of stuff like that. So you knew what kind of character your Far Cry 3 character was gonna be. Far Cry 4, no background information, zero. You're just a guy coming to scatter some ashes. Now you're in the country. You're going in, and all of a sudden your bus is captured and whatever. You go get you're realistically, this is making sense so far. Your bus is captured. You're brought to the guy's palace. Then then he leaves you alone. So you start to escape, and this Golden Path guy's like, "Here, come with us. We'll save you." you go with the Golden Path guys, and then you run and you jump in a truck, and they're just like, here, take that gun and shoot all those guys. So you just take this fucking gun, and you're blowing people up, like, instantly. You just came from being a kid in the Americas, and now you're just a mass murderer, just killing people by the hundreds the second you get into this country. Far Cry 3, it connected with the players. It was realistic. You were like, you actually had to grow into being a murderous psychopath. You started out and you killed your first guy, and your guy's like, oh my god, I just killed a person, oh my god. This guy, you just kill a person, you're just like, yeah, whatever. And you just keep killing people. It's completely unrealistic. A person like this guy must be like a mass murderer in the Americas too, and he used like a dual identity to get here. So he's actually not going to bury his ashes for his mother. That's just a cover, because he's really a mass murderer trying to escape the Americas. Because that's the only logical thing I can think of for why he's just a mass murderer instantly the second he gets here. And it's actually kind of funny. Pagan Min, right when you get to the very last mission, you're talking to him at the end. He's like, I want to know which one I'm talking to. Am I talking to the innocent kid that came in, or am I talking to the murderous psychopath that murdered his way up this base or whatever to get to me? And it's like, well, I was a murderous psychopath the second I stepped out your door at the very beginning, so I don't know what you're really talking about. So that's one of the things that really makes me mad about Far Cry 4, is that it's not connective, it's not realistic. It doesn't really connect with a real person. You can't even ease your way into it if you wanted to. You get your first kill, and the guy doesn't even say anything. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I kill people all the time. So that's one thing. Now, the decision-making process. All the way through the main campaign, you get to choose between Amita and Sabal. Amita has her ways of, like, she wants to grow, she wants to use the drug plants that Pagan Min has brought in to make the country money and stuff, and she wants to get rid of the religious values and stuff, because it's harming, it's holding them back, keeping them in the last age. And Sabal wants to stay with the religious side of what the country is. So you get to choose who. So you'd think that after all that choosing and stuff, that it would actually make a difference. You choose these people, and it just changes like the next mission a little bit. That's all it does. It just, if you choose Amita, you have to go and destroy this place. If you choose Sabal, you have to go and protect it. That's the only difference it makes. It doesn't make any difference at the end of the game. It doesn't make any difference during the game. It doesn't give you any certain relationship with either of the characters. Far Cry 3, you had to choose between certain things, and that got you things. You got to go and do stuff with these other NPCs. The friggin' main girl, you friggin' screwed the main girl, and that's like a major thing, because at the end you had to choose between you're killing your friends and staying with this goddess woman, or you could kill the goddess woman and run back home with your friends. So that was a real decision. In this game, you don't get anything like that. You don't get to interact with the NPCs at all. It's just like you do. I did all the Amita missions, and what she does is nothing for you. She basically, you do the mission, and she calls you on the radio. Oh my God, thank you so much, AJ. And that's all you get out of it. She doesn't give you anything. Nothing happens. It's completely ridiculous. And then when you're going through and you're fighting these fortresses, basically Yuma is the third fortress. She's like the fortress before Pagan Min. She's Pagan Min's second-hand woman, and she's like a psycho, like a psychic something. She gives you drugs and makes you go crazy. And basically she gives you these drugs, and you're walking through this imaginary field, and you keep seeing Amita pop up. And Amita, because I was doing all the Amita missions, so Amita would pop up, and she's giving like these crazy orders, like go get all the children and bring them here and kill all the parents and crazy stuff like that, that you're like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't choose Amita if she's going to do this when she becomes the leader. And then you get to the very last, right before the very last mission, and it says choose Amita or Sabal, and it said this choice will impact who the true leader of the Golden Path will be, who will run the Golden Path from now on, and who will run the country when Pagan Min is dead. So you're like, oh shit, this is a really big decision. So You choose Amida, and you go and you blow up this palace. And then you go and you do the Pagan Min missions. You go into Pagan Min's place, and I'll get back to Pagan Min in a second, but you go to Pagan Min's place, and you kill him, and then the credits roll, and it's done. Amida, you come on the radio, and you're like, Amida, I killed Pagan Min. And she's like, oh, that's great, AJ. That's it. That's all that happens. She doesn't become the leader of the country. There's no missions after that. You just kill Pagan Min, done. There's no, oh, now Amida's this crazy woman and she's gathering all the babies and killing them and she's doing this and all this crazy stuff that you saw at Yuma's fortress. None of that happens. You don't get nothing happens at the end of the game. It's ridiculous. No impact whatsoever. You just kill Pagan Min and you're just like, cool. And then you go and you talk to these stoner guys that you've done a couple missions for, and they're just like, oh, are you leaving now? And they're like, no, probably not. You probably have lots of things to do, people to kill and stuff like that, right? And you just kind of like, yep, and you walk away. Nothing happens. It makes me so angry. You don't leave. You don't get the option to go back and try a different way. You don't do anything. You just come back to your house and you're just like, cool, that was it. Now back to Pagan Min. When you go to Pagan Min's palace, now this is where I might have screwed up. I should have chosen the other thing, but I felt like the way I was playing the game, I chose the right thing to do. Basically, with all the fortress leaders, you have the option to choose their fate. You can shoot them or you can see what they do. So when I got to Pagan, because you're crazy about killing Pagan the entire game, you're like, whenever you see Pagan, you're like, I'm going after Pagan, and you start running after him or flying after him. You're doing anything you can to kill him. So I figured, oh, I might as well look the part. I played the Pagan Min mission, got to the end, got into his palace, and he's like, all right, let's see what you. He's like, okay, let's see who I'm gonna talk to. Am I gonna talk to the innocent guy, or am I gonna talk to the murder guy? And you're like, and you don't really say anything. He's like, well, if I'm talking to the innocent guy, he said, we can forget this all, put it all behind us, and you can just come with me, and we'll go to Lakshmana, and we'll scatter your mother's ashes. And then he's like, and if I'm talking to the murderous guy, well, you can go ahead and shoot me. And I'm like, well, I've been going after you, trying to kill you this entire game for some reason, so I'm just gonna shoot you. And he pulls up the gun, and I pull the trigger right away. Kills him. Bam. Trophy. The king is dead. End of game. Credits roll. I'm like, what the hell? You get back to Mohan Gale, your father's house, and you call Amida. I killed Pagan Min, and she's like, that's great, AJ. And then she's like, did you find Lakshmana? Because that's what the entire game was about. Was you finding Lakshmana to scatter these ashes? She's like, did you find Lakshmana? You're like, nope, it's not important anymore. And that's it. Then you can just run around and liberate fortresses and all kinds of shit like that. It's so stupid. It makes me so angry. That you came to this country just to do this one thing and you didn't even do it. So basically, if you're playing the campaign mode in Far Cry 4 and you expect a personal connection, you expect a good storyline, then don't do it. It's got good writing. There's lots of funny puns and it's really funny and it's engaging. But the storyline itself sucks so bad. So if you're playing it for a good story like Far Cry 3, don't play it. If you want a Far Cry game with an amazing storyline and actually decisions that make a difference, go play Far Cry 3. That game is absolutely unreal. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Far Cry 4 felt like a cheap ripoff of it because the story wasn't as good and a lot of the aspects were very much the same. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you all on my next video.